afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. From One King West Hotel in downtown Toronto, welcome to the Empire Club of Canada. Now, for those of you just joining us either through our webcast or our podcast, welcome to the meeting. Before our distinguished speaker is introduced today, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our head table guests to you, and I'd ask that each guest rise for a brief moment and be seated as your name is called. And at this point, I typically ask the audience to refrain from applauding until all head table guests have been introduced, but of course, I know from experience that no one respects that request, so feel free to applaud as I announce each guest. Starting with, obviously, the Honourable Dominique Anglade, Ministre de l'Économie, de la Science et de l'Innovation, Province du Québec. The Honourable Reza Moridi, the Ontario Minister of Research, Innovation and Science. And thank you, Minister, for joining us today. Dr. Tom Core, President and CEO of the Ontario Centres of Excellence. Monsieur Éric Dequesne, Vice-président Affaires internationales, Investissement Québec. Monsieur Pierre Cyr, Director, Board and Stakeholder Relations, Canadian Blood Services, and a Director of the Empire Club of Canada. Monsieur Marc Trouillet, Consulat général de France à Toronto. Mademoiselle Nicole Lemieux, chef de poste, Bureau du Québec à Toronto. Je pense que il me manque Nicole Lemieux. Mademoiselle Diane Brisebois, President and CEO of the Retail Council of Canada. Monsieur Thomas Chanzy, Vice-Président of Public Affairs, Ontario Trillium Foundation, and a Director of the Empire Club of Canada. My name is Gordon McIver. I'm your host for today, and ladies and gentlemen, that is your head table. One of the most interesting aspects of being involved with a very, very old institution like the Empire Club of Canada is that you can literally see the history of our country and its provinces play out in the speeches that are delivered by our guests week after week, year after year, and through these speeches better understand what's going on at the time that captured the attention of all of our citizens. This has been particularly true when talking about the province of Quebec, which none would deny has played a very special role in shaping the history of our country, particularly related to issues of public policy. In preparing to welcome the minister today, I managed to go through some of these old addresses, and I'm always amazed to see how prescient they were in helping to shape the country we live in, a country that many around the world now view as one of the most enduring and successful social democracies, that it's been very careful to create policies that are not short-sighted and work to serve the long-term interests of our population. Needless to say, business leaders of the day often visit our podium to explain how these policies have impacted their areas of the economy. Take, for example, one of our very most famous speeches from Quebec, which was delivered back on March 6, 1969, by Robert C. Shivner, who was then the president of the Bell Telephone Company of Canada, located in Montreal, of course, which he entitled The Coming Revolution in Telecommunications. This speech set the stage for a new post-Révolution Tranquille Quebec, where innovation and education were the order of the day. As he stated in that address almost half a century ago, and I quote, "The educational system in Quebec is being completely rebuilt at all levels. It's being brought forward 50 years in 5. Involved are the government, the teachers and professors, students, and parents. It will be another 5 years before the education system in Quebec will take its fully modern form and before the full impact of this revitalization will start to be felt. This period is bound to be upsetting of traditional approaches and power centers. It is releasing new views, new energies, and is producing great debate. It is turning loose a completely new generation with modern desires." Now, fast forward to June 2017, and we see the results of those enlightened policies in the person of our guest speaker today. Quebec's Minister of Economy, Science and Innovation, Dominique Anglade, is a dynamic force in the creation of economic growth initiatives, helping to make Quebec a leader in highly competitive knowledge sectors. Recent data has confirmed this. In 2016, you may know that 42% of Canada's total job growth happened in Quebec. Of the 85,400 full-time jobs added, many were in the smart sectors, such as digital entertainment, virtual reality technologies, geometrics, and artificial intelligence. With the recent release of Quebec's 2 new strategies, one for research and innovation and the other for life science, and in addition to its upcoming digital strategy, Quebec is taking definitive steps to stand at the forefront of the global smart economy. And we're delighted to have with us today one of the main players in ensuring that this jurisdiction continues to lead in these areas. So we're all looking very forward today to Minister Anglade sharing Quebec's new economic vision with us and to furthering the creation of exciting new business opportunities. Her background with Procter and Gamble, Nortel, McKinsey and Company, Montréal International, and numerous volunteer initiatives all make her one of the new generation of Quebec leaders that help continue the legacy of innovation that this region embarked on half a century ago. So please join me in welcoming to our podium today, ladies and gentlemen, a businesswoman, an accomplished engineer, a politician, a wife, and a mother, and one of the reasons that we have so much confidence in the future of Quebec and the global economy. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're delighted to welcome to the Empire Club of Canada for the first time the Minister of the Economy, Science and Innovation, the Honourable Dominique Anglade.
Merci infiniment, Monsieur McIver, pour cette présentation très appréciée, très contente d'être ici. Merci également à notre sponsor principal de l'événement, donc Investissement Québec avec Éric Dequesne. And always happy to see my friend Reza Moridi here, my counterpart in Ontario, and we always have great conversations about innovation and what we need to do to move Canada forward towards the new economy. So a real pleasure to be here with you today. I wanted to talk to you about the economy of Quebec in general, how things are going, and share with you some of the latest initiatives that we've decided to launch in order to make sure that we were really creating a dynamic environment for businesses in Quebec. I don't think I need to go through Quebec at a glance with you. The only thing I'd say, 8.5 million people in Quebec. Things, economically speaking, are going well. Mr. McIver, you were mentioning the stats. In fact, 2016 was a really great year for Quebec, where we had job creation, 42% of all the job creation in Canada. And we actually presented our third balanced budget in April of this year. So in a very good position with surplus. What do we do with the surplus? We want to reinvest. Where do we want to reinvest? In health, in education, and in economy. So the stability, the economic stability that we've created is really allowing us to make some key choices, to make some key changes in our economy as well. It's nice to say that things are going well in Quebec. It's better when it's Bloomberg saying it. So a quote from Bloomberg about what's going on right now and what they see in terms of the transformation of the economy. A quote as well from Le Figaro en France qui parle également de ce qui se passe au Québec et de la transformation qui est en train de s'opérer dans le type de travail qu'on est en train de créer, dans le type d'opportunités qu'on est en train de donner à de nouvelles générations. Et on veut continuer sur cette tendance, évidemment. On veut s'assurer qu'il y ait des opportunités pour les jeunes qui arrivent. Grand défi démographique que nous avons également, un vieillissement de la population important. Et c'est pour cette raison qu'on a besoin de penser en matière d'innovation, en matière de création de richesses et pour soutenir toute cette population que nous avons et qui that's entering the workforce. So the way to think about the Quebec economy, we're really focusing on 3 main pillars. The first one is entrepreneurship. The second one is innovative manufacturing. We can call it advanced manufacturing. And the third one is exports. And based on those 3 pillars, all our strategies are really focusing on delivering on those 3 specific pillars. When we talk about entrepreneurship, There are, again, a number of initiatives that we decided to put forward, but one of them I find is particularly interesting, and it's the second one. We have, as it is in Ontario, we have an economy based on small and medium companies, and about 50,000 leaders will retire in the next 5 years. 50,000 leaders. So we need to make sure that we have people able to take those leadership positions and replace the leaders that we have in place today. So there is a center for transfer that we put in place in order for the people that are interested in selling, people that are interested in buying. Interestingly enough, we were quite surprised, but there are a lot more people interested in buying companies than there are in selling companies. So we know that there are leaders that are supposed to retire, but they're not willing to say it. And when you're 65, you think, I still have 5 years to go before I sell my company. So we also have to do work with our leaders in Quebec in order to facilitate the transition towards a new generation. Second pillar of our economy is innovative manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. It doesn't matter what sector you're looking at. We need to modernize our economy. So what we've decided to do is to really target advanced manufacturing in every single sector. So whether it's agriculture, whether it's the aerospace industry, whether it is a forestry industry, we've really decided to invest significant amounts of money to support this transformation. So $825 million over a period of 3 years. In the first year, we have invested $400 million in the economy. And the private sector has been responding quite well because they've decided to invest $1.9 billion in those investments. So in total, the transformation, we've mobilized every single actor that we have in Quebec. We've visited every single region in Quebec to make sure that we would tell people how critical it is to modernize, giving them the tools, investing in the economy, and creating jobs that are high-quality jobs. So in total, just this year alone, in advanced manufacturing, it's $2.3 billion that were invested based on the projects that we decided to finance. So good results, but again, a transformation. You don't get to transform the economy in 1 year. You need to do much better than that, and that's why we're going to continue the modernization and the advanced manufacturing projects that we have. The third pillar is a key one, is exports. We're really good at trading in Quebec. I was earlier in a conference, and I was talking to my Tennessee counterpart, and I was telling him we're so good at trading that we traded our best hockey player with Tennessee, with Piquet Subban, and now you're in the final of the Stanley Cup. So we're definitely a very good partner when it comes to trading with the United States. Before the U.S. election, we decided to launch our strategy around exports. So $500 million that we put on the table over 4 years in order to really encourage our companies to grow and to invest more in United States, in the world in general, but a specific focus on United States. So really important to us because there are so many things happening right now with the relationships with the U.S. And I like to say that we can't look at the U.S.-Canada relationship as a relationship between Ottawa and Washington. It's a relationship between state to state. It's a relationship between unions and companies versus companies. And we all need to be together in this and making sure that we're extremely proactive and present in the United States. And I think I've been in the United States, I don't know how many times. It feels like every 2 weeks there is a minister from Quebec in the United States for sure. And we realize that we've been taking this relationship for granted. But when you engage in a conversation with your counterparts, they're really happy about looking at opportunities, see how we can grow together, very open to trade. So I think we need to maintain those relationships and build on the momentum that we have. We've also decided to launch a new center to accelerate the growth of companies. So this is a new initiative. This is something that we've never done in the past. Somebody came to me in New York and said, we need to encourage the top companies that are exporting in the US to do even more. And so I turn over to my civil servants, and I'm like, let's do this. Well, we've never done this before. Well, that's exactly why we need to do it. We need to change the way we think about stuff and try to find new initiatives that are different than what we were doing in the past. So we have a first cohort of 17 companies that are already exporting in the US, but we're giving them more means in order to perform even better. So really, the ones that are really good at exporting, we want them to become great at exporting, and that's what we've launched about officially the 17 companies. It was about a month ago that I was in New York to present this first cohort. We added new resources as well, so commercial people from the government in United States in order to support the growth of our companies as well. And when you look at the different issues that we've had regarding trade, so CETA, that's a good example. We are about to finally ratify the CETA agreement in about 2 weeks' time. Great opportunities for our companies, and we need to make sure that they all know about the potential that there is in Europe with that market of 500 million people. I don't think our companies, and I don't know if it's the same thing in Ontario, but I know for sure that the European companies are quite prepared to really take the opportunity of the CETA agreement and really come here. I think we need to do a lot more work with our companies to do exactly the same. And in the next few months, there will be an acceleration in the work that we need to do with those companies. Softwood lumber. What can I say? Softwood lumber. We've been preparing for this. I mean, it's something that has been happening. It's been a problem with the United States for over 30 years. It has nothing to do with the latest administration. It is definitely something that we're working on. We have more than 60,000 people working in that field in Quebec, and we are supporting our industry quite heavily to make sure that at the end of the day, we don't see what happened in 2008 significantly hurting our industry, our softwood lumber industry. And NAFTA, getting ready to renegotiate NAFTA, which is, at the end of the day, a good thing because it is somewhat old. It is somewhat dated. We are in a digital era. We need to think about the new elements that we need to add to this agreement. And I think it's really important to build momentum with the allies that we have in the United States, and we have quite a few allies in the United States that really believe in trade and that we can work with. But none of this would really make sense. None of it would make sense that the three pillars that we have, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's advanced manufacturing, whether it's exports, if we don't have an obsession with innovation. Innovation is key. And we need to embrace it in every single aspect, and that's the reason why you were mentioning that we launched two different initiatives. In fact, we launched one specifically related to les sciences de la vie, so life sciences, where we're really supporting the industry. And we came up with ideas that we didn't have before. We have a new office, innovation office in the healthcare ministry in order to facilitate new technologies to enter the health system. So we really trying to look at different avenues in order to support the industry, but in order for this to be good as well for the people of Quebec and for people in the world in general. So that's one strategy that we decided to launch. L'autre stratégie, ça c'est celle de la recherche et de l'innovation qui s'appelle « Oser innover ». Et on veut s'assurer de vraiment se concentrer sur trois objectifs principaux, le talent, la recherche et la commercialisation. So, never in the history of Quebec have we invested that much money for research and innovation. It's $2.8 billion over the next 5 years. Specifically, the strategy is $500 million. And obviously, all this is possible because we have surplus. All this is possible because we have a balanced budget. And it took us a lot of time as a government and a lot of energy to make it happen. But now we can reinvest in the talent. So one element is talent. And when I talk about talent around innovation, I mean, you were talking about when you were presenting me, at the end, you see if you go on my Twitter account, you'll see it's the first thing. I say mother of three. Huh? So I think of my children. I think of my children when I think about the first one, because when we talk about innovation and science, it needs to start at a very young age. So we have programs going at the age of 5 all the way to PhD students and postgrads, and that's where we need to invest. And we need more people in science, and we need more females in science. That's really important as well. And maybe more females in politics. Can I say that? Yes, I can. You can applaud. Yes, you can applaud. Just a quick anecdote on my 5-year-old daughter, because I was away from home quite a bit, and because I was in Parliament, and I felt guilty about that. So I was telling her, I'm going to show you the video of a question period, and this is this person asking a question to mommy, and mommy is answering this, and this is another person, and mommy is answering. So I'm showing her the question period, and she goes, "Mommy, there are really a lot of boys at your job." Like, she's 5. So definitely more women in science, more women for politics in general. So second element is research and innovation in all fronts. And what we mean by that is we're focusing on new technologies, for sure, research that is applied, but also research that is fundamental research that is also critical. And there's no... In the conversations we have with universities, sometimes they're really saying, you're not supporting enough the fundamental research, and there's always the question between applied research and fundamental research. Both are important, and we need to do both, and that's what we're doing right now. And commercialization, a big focus for us on commercialization, and a way to illustrate what we need to do is in artificial intelligence. So as part of the $585 million that you saw earlier, we are investing $100 million in artificial intelligence. Why? Because we have phenomenal researchers in that field. Somebody was mentioning today, in fact, it's, I don't know where he is, Ray Tanguay, you're right here. Sorry for... I'm going to single you out. But Ray Tanguay was saying he came to Quebec about 2 weeks ago or a month ago? A month ago. And he said how impressed he was with all the work that's happening around artificial intelligence. And he did not expect that. So we need more people. Who in this room has been in Quebec in the last 6 months? A fair bit. So you need to talk to all the people that haven't been to come and see the work that we're doing, because I think we're doing some pretty amazing work. And we need to collaborate. We need to have Ontario and Quebec collaborate more, and we need to collaborate with our partners in the States as well. But the work that we're doing in artificial intelligence is pretty amazing. Some example of that, ABB invested $90 million in an International Center of Excellence for Electric Mobility. There's a big conference next week, Moving On, that's going to be quite attended as well. Another investment, Google has invested $4.5 million in Montreal for, again, artificial intelligence, deep learning, and there are a number of different investments happening right now. So we want to make sure that we support this, especially the artificial intelligence has a huge impact on, again, every sector. So as we modernize the manufacturing side of things, artificial intelligence is really reinforcing those sectors as well. But at the end of the day, I think what matters is really mobilizing everybody. On a vraiment besoin de s'assurer que tout le monde prenne ça au sérieux, la transformation qu'on est en train d'opérer en matière économique. On a besoin d'avoir des gens qui sont impliqués, qui sont vraiment engagés dans la transformation de notre économie. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle j'aime particulièrement cette citation. There are no passengers in Spaceship Earth, we're all crew members. We're all crew members. So we all need to get involved. We all need to get engaged. And by mobilizing all the talent that we have, this is how we can really make a difference and transform the economy. Donc, pour moi, ce qui est important, c'est qu'encore une fois, qu'on soit capable de mobiliser l'ensemble des forces, l'ensemble des talents que nous avons et continuer la transformation de l'économie, parce que c'est de cette manière-là qu'on va être réellement capable de créer un environnement où on a des emplois de qualité et où il fait bon vivre. And that's the way we're really going to create this environment where we really feel good about what we do, the job we're creating, and that we're really excited about being in Quebec. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll be taking questions anyway. Thank you.
So we have a roving mic, ladies and gentlemen, so just put your hand up if you have a question. The minister's agreed to take 3-4 questions. So.
Sure. And I love, like, not being in Parliament, I love animating my own question period, really. It's fantastic.
Hello, Minister. Thank you very much. That was an excellent talk. So just quick question. I'm Jos Papetinich. I'm the director of the Canadian Urban Transit Research and Innovation Consortium, and we work with a lot of companies in Quebec on electric mobility and so on. How much of the $585 million that you've invested has come from carbon pricing? So can you take us through how much money in the budget is coming out of carbon pricing mechanisms or cap and trade that's being reinvested, or is none of it? Is it all
none of it?
Less? Oh, really?
Yeah.
So then can you take us through where that money will go from carbon pricing in the future?
So you're talking about like the Fonds Vert and all those initiatives
exactly.
that we have. Yeah, so yes, it's gone through a number of different projects. One of them, for example, is around electric vehicles that we decided to invest $40 million with different projects. But it's really a project base as opposed to clear funding for research and innovation. So we separate this amount from what we have. So the Fonds Vert is managed by the Environment Ministry, and every single ministry can have access to it in a project that is supportive of the climate change and its impact. So, for example, I will have, if I think of all the projects that I've announced this year that are funded by the Fonds Vert, it's probably $200 million, I would say. But it's separate from that $585 million. Now, my colleagues in natural resources have also announced different projects, but that I wouldn't be able to answer you specifically. We would have to look at the different numbers. Thank you. Other question?
Minister, you were talking about innovation with some focus on technology or new technologies, including artificial intelligence, and showing some very positive numbers. So let me turn the question around and ask you, where are you most concerned in the next couple of years? Where do you think the greatest challenges will be, both for Quebec and its partners, in light of the political climate, not only in North America, but around the world?
Well, to me, the biggest challenge, without any doubt, is the question of talent. There's not a single president of a company that I meet that's not talking to me about talent, saying, I need to hire more people in that field. I need to find the people. Even yesterday, we were meeting with people from the U.S., and they're like, everything is driven by where the talent pool is. This is something that we used to talk a lot about 15 years ago, 10 years ago, but as like in the last 3 years, that's really what people talk about. I was talking about one of the acquisitions that we had. Microsoft did an acquisition in Quebec, and I was talking to their CEO for international programs in Microsoft, and he was telling us, there's no way we can relocate the people. We're talking about 40 people. There's no way we can relocate because first of all, they're not going to leave Montreal, and second of all, we don't have that talent. Like, we need those people, and if we want to hire, we need to create this cluster, so we need to hire 40 additional people in that area. So talent is really going to be critical for the future, and I think it's the same thing pretty much everywhere. If you're not focusing on talent right now, you're making a big mistake. So that's something that I keep in the back of my mind. We have great projects. There are projects that I'm looking at that are on the table right now, and I'm thinking, this is such a fantastic project, creating like 800 jobs in one go. We need to find those 800 people, 800 qualified people. So that's something that's in the back of my mind, and that's why the programs we have in universities, the programs we have in CJEPs are really essential programs. You also mentioned the political. I'm really an optimistic person at heart. I think in the end, we're going to be in an environment where people are going to realize that trade is a good thing, Can we improve? Probably. But if we have to come to our senses and realize that this is definitely something that's beneficial to everybody. And I've yet to have a conversation with anybody, especially in the United States, where people don't agree with that. So I'm still optimistic.
Bonjour, Madame Anglade. Je suis Julia Deans de Futurpreneur Canada, and we helped to launch over 400 businesses in Quebec last year alone, and thank you to your government for your partnership in that. Many of our young entrepreneurs are looking to the US for trade, but they're also looking across Canada and internationally. We help them with that, but I'm wondering from where you sit and visiting us here in Ontario, what do you see for Quebec businesses increasing across the country and doing business with other provinces and bringing things back to Quebec from the rest of the country?
It is a very good question, because we tend to think of exports as outside of the country, but really 40% of our export is really in the rest of Canada, in Quebec. So the rest of Canada is critical. The other provinces are critical for us. And I see a lot of potential. That's why there was the new agreement. So in French, it's ALEC. Don't ask me what the acronym is in English. ALEC, Libre-Échange. Do you know, Reza, what's the name of the... you don't know either? I feel much better. Accord de libre-échange canadien, mais en anglais, c'est quoi? Okay, so anyway, this free trade agreement between all the provinces, whatever the acronym is, we just agreed to do it. And it's an agreement that really facilitates our companies to work together. And we already had an agreement between Ontario and Quebec. Now we're really extending it to some degree to the rest of the rest of the other provinces. And I think there is a big potential. Sometimes people say, I want to export. Have you been to Ontario? Maybe it's the first step you need to take. Have you been to New Brunswick? We need to think in those terms. So yes, I think it is important. And there's the US market, there is the Asian market, European market, never to forget the Canadian market.
Bonjour, Madame Anglade. Glenn O'Farrell, Groupe Média TFO. Thank you for your speech here today. And I'd like to build on that question, if I might. I think that there's so much interdependence between Ontario and Quebec that speaks to the need to continue down that path that we've seen extensively by way of Premier Couillard, Premier Wynne, Premier Charest, Premier McGuinty before them. And when you look out on your horizons and you see where the priorities are, outside of the broad areas of economic growth, when you think about innovation, you think about research, you think about pushing things forward. Is there any room, do you think, given the strengths that Ontario and Quebec have, particularly in research and research universities, to coordinate a strategy going forward?
Is there room to coordinate a strategy? Yes, there's always room. I think we need to, it's when we go abroad that we realize what we're doing so well. Bio is coming up, the Bio conference is coming up shortly, but last year I was attending the Bio conference in California, and you wouldn't believe the number of people that came up to me to say, oh, what you're doing in Ontario and Quebec together, it's fantastic. It's really phenomenal, the work that you're able to do in terms of collaboration. And I think our researchers are really good at working together, but they're not very good at bragging about all the great work that they do. That's not their strength necessarily. And I think we need to highlight more of this work. So in terms of life sciences, I think there's a lot more work we could do. Artificial intelligence. We're not in competition. We're not competing with Ontario on artificial intelligence. We're competing with the rest of the world. And I think Canada is extremely well positioned to make things happen. And this could touch many other sectors. Agriculture could be impacted and have huge impact on it. So the automotive industry and artificial intelligence and big data. This is all like one big cluster, if you will. So this is another area where I think we need to, we could do more. And I would be very happy to look at different alternatives and new strategies. We had a joint cabinet meeting between my premier Philippe Couillard and Kathleen Wynne, where we identified specific areas where we want to work on. This is already a very good start to get to future strategy. Who knows? Thank you for your question. Any other question? Well, thank you very much to everybody. Merci beaucoup de nous avoir. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Minister. Outstanding presentation. And to express our collective gratitude, I would invite Monsieur Éric Dequesne to come to the podium right now.
Alors, bonjour everyone, hello. I'm very honored to have the privilege to extend my thanks to Minister Anglade. I will also to extend my greetings to Minister Morodi, Consul Général de France, dear Gordon, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I think that will be a bit more formal and probably a bit more boring. Ministre Anglade, pour vous avoir entendu à plusieurs reprises au Québec, vous êtes une bonne speaker. Et j'ai retenu, je vais essayer de how to translate this in English, but vous avez toujours un mot-clé qui est oser. Et ce mot-clé revient souvent et je pense que ça vous traduit bien. Oser à plusieurs égards, avoir la vision et l'action. Like we say, there's an old joke, like we say that I'm the last obstacle before the lunch, but now I think that I'm the last obstacle before you leave the room. And there was our charming lady at the table that said, Eric, then take your time, take your time. No, it was the opposite, I think. You said, go, try to go fast. So let me read some note that I have here in front of me. As I said, I'm honored to have the opportunity to address you today and to thank our minister for her speech at the Empire Club of Toronto. As the minister clearly stated in her message a little earlier, Quebec is resolutely focused on innovation and cooperation. Like Ontario, we had a great discussion about innovation in Ontario with my neighbor, and every other economy driven by high-value added products and advanced services. We know that our growth depends primarily on our talent and ability to innovate. Madame Anglade l'a bien précisé dans son discours. On that front, we have earned a global reputation in growth areas like artificial intelligence, data storage, and special effects, where we have recently met with notable successes. Example includes, Madame Anglade en a fait allusion, Google Cloud's arrival in Montreal, the presence of IVADO, which is the Institute of Data Valorization, the January announcement of Microsoft entry to Montreal's deep learning community, and of course, the explosion of FX studios over the last 10 years in Montreal with Autodesk, Rodeo FX, Digital Dimension, Moment Factory, Hybrid, and more. But we're also home to industrial manufacturing projects. C'est un des piliers que Mme Anglade a mentionné. Harnessing cutting-edge technologies, confirming Quebec's ability to be a part of a large global innovation chain with recent examples like, I will repeat some of them because they're very important to reiterate the importance of that project conducted in Quebec. The German conglomerate Siemens, which recently announced over 110 million in investment in its Dorval plant to carry out research and development. Or the Swiss engineering firm ABB, which recently announced it will set up in North America its North America Center of Excellence in e-mobility in Montreal, where it will develop energy management solutions for electric buses and trains. This initiative is part of a $90 million project to establish ABB's new Canadian headquarters in Montreal and consolidate the company's research and development, manufacturing, assembly, and testing activities under one roof, which is very critical. Some of the people here in this room have also projects underway in Quebec, and we can attest that the growing importance of the innovation is critical. But enough name dropping. My message is to remind that our role at Investissement Québec is to translate that government commitment into tangible projects and offer you assistance with evaluating your plans and ultimately financing them. At Investissement Québec, we are first and foremost a financial institution having carried out $1 billion worth of financing initiatives drawing on our own equity and nearly $2 billion on behalf of the government. And so, to the Minister's already ambitious message, I would add that we have not only the will, but also the financial means to succeed. Your speech, Madame Anglade, reminds us that the global economy is in constant evolution, and more than ever, the key driver to support the development of our economy, the development of exports, and the speed to commercialization is innovation. Alors, je vous remercie beaucoup, Madame Anglade, encore une fois pour votre leadership. Je peux vous dire qu'Investissement Québec is proud to be your economic arm, the economic arm of the Quebec government. Investissement Québec is there to put forward projects to support the Quebec economy, and we are serious. Alors voilà, je vous remercie beaucoup. Bon après-midi tout le monde, et j'espère que ces quelques mots n'ont pas été aussi dynamiques que la ministre, mais enfin, j'ai tenté mon possible pour être aussi dynamique.
Merci, Monsieur Duquesne. Un très beau remerciement. A sincere thank you as well to our generous lead sponsor, Investissement Québec, and to our VIP reception sponsor, the Retail Council of Canada. Thank you, Madame Risbois, for making this event possible. Without sponsors like these great companies, the Empire Club Luncheons obviously would not be possible, so thank you all for your support. I'd also like to thank the National Post, which is our print media sponsor, as well as mediaevents.ca, Canada's online event space, for live webcasting today's events to thousands of viewers around the world. And as you probably all know, the Empire Club now is seen by many, many more people on our webcasts and podcasts than it is live or on television. So although our club's been around since 1903, we have moved into the 21st century and very active on social media. I'd invite you to follow us on Twitter at Empire_Club. Visit us at empireclub.org, and you can also visit us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Finally, I'd invite you to come out to the last two events of our season coming up, both in this hotel, actually. The first one next week, which is very timely for everyone in Toronto, the evolution of the real estate industry, diversity, culture, and workplace. That will take place on June 13th in this very room. And on June 19th, we welcome the Honourable Michael Shan, the Minister of International Trade. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes our meeting, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.